ARRI has officially released a new camera. Now, full transparency, seems kind of late to be releasing a new camera.
Yeah.
But
does it really matter with ARRI?
I was about to say, do you think they're really caring about a Black Friday sale? Did anybody pick up an ARRI on a Black Friday sale? Let us know in the chat.
Yes.
But it feels like still kind of late in the year.
Yes.
But from a production standpoint, it might be genius because if people got some tax money that they need to, spend and write off, this could be the perfect time. Or at least it could have been if you could actually buy this camera.
Yes.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, ARRI actually just announced this brand new camera. This is the Alexa 265. You have the specs on it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so while you get those specs pulled up, just to give you guys a little bit of context of what this camera is, Alexa had the 65, which was I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced it or seen it or pulled up pictures of it for yourselves, but like it was a huge camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like a brick, like a cinder block brick, actually maybe a little bigger than a cinder block brick. Now they have taken that and put it into this much smaller chassis, which as you guys can see, it basically fits into the palm of your hand. And the big news around this camera, along with the specs and everything that they did internally with it, is that it is currently available for rental only. And so immediately my thought was, this is one of those cameras where if you got to ask how expensive it is,
you can't afford it.
You cannot afford it. So let's go through the specs and let's sort of talk through what this camera is all about.
Yeah, definitely. So it is a massive sensor. It's a really big sensor. It's bigger than the 35, but it has the same color science as the 35. It is purporting 15 stops of dynamic range.
I think you're feeling rage. Knowing that you can't get it.
It's only a third of the weight of the 65, which is really crazy. It comes in at 7.3 pounds, which means the Alexa 65 was 23 pounds body only.
Yeah.
Glory.
Before you rig it up.
I don't know that I could rig a camera with my current setup to 23 pounds. But yes, is it 6.5K or 6K? 6.5K.
Yeah.
And an ISO range of 3200 to 6400. Wow, that's not very high.
ARRI's never really had to have crazy dynamic range or even crazy resolution. Like, honestly, them pushing over 6K is actually pretty astounding.
It's got to be Netflix.
And so that was my question. Is like, they must be pushing resolution because of Netflix or, these other streaming platforms that need these like certain resolution. They have these certain resolution requirements. But I think, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't have enough money in my bank account to even talk about this camera. Okay? Like when we normally make jokes, like, are you talking or are you buying? I don't even think I deserve to be whispering. Okay? So for me, I find that the most interesting thing about this camera is the fact that it came out. Like, when I look at the industry right now and we start looking at, whether that's Red's cameras that are becoming more affordable in price, right? Or we look at, Blackmagic, what they're doing, what Sony is even doing, what Canon just did this year with the C400 and the price points that it's at. I kind of got this feeling that from at least the camera space, even in the industry, the big players, it kind of just felt like they were in a place where they felt like, okay, we need to sort of, pander's the wrong word, but like sort of talk to the indie filmmakers, the low budget filmmakers, the content creators, the YouTubers. And that made me sort of excited in a way because I felt like we were getting these like super high end cinema cameras at a much affordable price. That was more of the everybody's type of camera. But then ARRI comes out with this camera, which, the fact that you can't even buy it, I think speaks for where the price is actually going to end up. Eventually you will be able to buy it. But it sort of made me start thinking through, like, is there still a super high-end market? And are all the camera companies, everybody else, except for ARRI at this point, feels like they're sort of racing, I'm not going to say to the bottom, but like to the where the masses are. But ARRI is like, no, we still believe in cinema. We have this high end camera. And it's like, is it rental only because they probably wouldn't sell a ton of them? I don't know. That's sort of like where I want to start the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of actually thinking about this. I was like, there's two approaches. One where I'm just kind of, it's going to sound like hate. You know what I mean? Like, why is this even coming out? Like, who is this for? Like, and obviously I know who it's for, but then actually, as I was sitting here, one of the things that kind of shifted my mindset was this is for cinema.
Yeah.
Like, this is for incredible movies.
Yeah.
Like, this is another paintbrush in a director or in a DP's hand to paint a masterpiece. And just thinking about the movies that will come out shot on this, and I'm assuming it's probably going to be cheaper than the 65 assumption.
Okay.
Like that, like it might not be accessible to me, but there's probably going to be a whole generation of people that it is accessible to rent for their movies, that maybe they would have to shot it on a different camera, or maybe not even the right tool, but now they can shoot it with this really large sensor. And so honestly, it was beginning to just change my mind a little bit to say, what is the incredible cinema that's going to come from this? But yeah, 100%. Like, I do think we have seen, you said not to the bottom. I think everybody is racing to the consumer, like racing towards you, me, like everyone, and tempting us, where I do think Alexa is kind of like, nah, like it doesn't even make sense for us to try to take this $100,000 per camera brand down into the 30s or 40s. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we're gonna stay here.
I think that idea of like only letting it go to rental, I think is actually might be the best move to make, because you do have this camera that if you released it would feel a little out of touch with just like the status of, you know, people being able to buy this camera, people even considering the camera. But by being able to make it still a fully fledged 65, but in a much smaller package, and making it rental based, that allows you to bring the price down, because now you don't have to sell it at a high price. You can put it at a pretty low price, make it rentable, and then because of the size, I think it can be used on a lot more productions
100%.
than the original 65 ever could. Because, I mean, if you wanted to even get any type of a movement shot with the original 65, you're talking full dollies, cranes, I mean, Ronin 2s with like, I mean, just like the amount of additional needed. But with this smaller, lightweight camera, you can rig it up. You can keep it pretty small.
RS4, baby.
I don't know. I'm not saying all that. The internet might roast you. Now, we do have some information coming in. Dylan says that according to Petapixel, it's looking like it's going to be $80,000. I think that's a comma. That's supposed to be a comma. But that is insane.
Small flex.
I mean, that is a pretty insane price point. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this clip. If you enjoyed it, do me a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up button. It's how you tell the algorithm that you enjoyed this content, and that way they can share it to other creators just like yourself. And if you didn't like this video, that's okay too. Hit the thumbs down button, but hit it twice just so you show it that you really didn't like it.